Hi guys, Marvin here from TechBroll.com, where we do unboxings, reviews, and sexy builds. And today, welcome to the second episode of our new video series called Flash Reviews, where I provide you guys with quick reviews of newly released products like what we have here today. So what we have here today is the Realme C3, which features the world's first MediaTek Helio G70 processor. With that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so the packaging for the Realme C3 is actually pretty standard with other products from Realme with this yellow colored box. So in front, we have the C3 model name and then the Realme logo at the bottom. And then at the back of the box, we have here the key specifications. So it has AI triple camera, 6.5-inch full screen, and it also has a massive 5,000 mAh of battery, and of course, the world's first Helio G70 processor. So it looks like what we have here is the blazing red variant with 3GB of RAM and 32GB of internal storage. So let's see what comes in the package. There you go. So the first thing you'll notice inside the main packaging is another accessory box with a text that says, "Hey, welcome to Realme family." Thank you. So inside this accessory box, we have the quick guide or quick start guide for the Realme C3. And then we have the Realme C3 smartphone itself here. So let me just take it out for a second carefully. And then underneath this packaging, we have a few more items. So we have here a charging cable, and it looks like it is still in micro USB, which is I'm not surprised because this is a budget smartphone. And then of course, we have here the power brick. There you go. So they are color white. So aside from that, we don't have anything here. We don't have an earphone. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if the main retail box has an earphone, but this one doesn't have. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the Realme C3 smartphone blazing red version. So here's the Realme C3, which uses the Realme UI already. And in front, we have here the 6.5-inch display that Realme calls mini drop full screen, which has a very small selfie camera here at the top center and a very subtle earpiece above that. In terms of the bezels, it's not that thick, especially for a budget category like this, with just a little bit thicker bottom bezel as you can see here. So at the back of the phone, we have here the so-called sunrise design, which basically has this sort of light rays that coming from the main camera. And it's actually very subtle and only reacts at certain angle as you can see here, but still a very nice design. But what I appreciate the most with this design and type of materials used for the backside of the phone is that it's actually not a fingerprint magnet. So if I press my fingers all around the backside of the phone, my fingerprint is actually not that visible as you can see here. Even on a certain angle, it's not that visible, which is actually very nice. I think it's something to do with the texture of the backside of the phone and the actual matte finish, which I really appreciate. So at the backside, we have here the triple camera setup. So we have a 12-megapixel main camera, a 2-megapixel portrait, and another 2-megapixel for a macro. At the top center, we have a fingerprint sensor, and at the lower left, we have a Realme logo right here. On the left side, we have the volume rocker as well as the SIM tray, and then on the other side, we have the power button. At the top side, we don't have anything here, and then on the bottom side, we have here a 3.5mm jack, which is nice, a microphone, a micro USB port, and then of course, the downward firing speakers. So overall guys, in terms of design and construction, I really like the Realme C3, especially with the relatively thin bezels all around the edges. I also appreciate the design and materials used for the backside as it is fingerprint resistant as you can see here. And I also like the sunrise design that has a sort of light rays around the main camera. So overall, I really like the design and construction of the Realme C3. So let me just set this up guys so that we can take a look at some quick benchmarks, gameplay, and of course sample photos. But before that, actually, let me share with you guys the specifications of the Realme C3. So it is available in two variants, the frozen blue and the blazing red that we have right here. So it has a 6.5 inches display with 89.8% screen-to-body ratio, an HD plus resolution which basically 720 by 1600, and the display is also protected with Corning Gorilla Glass 3. So the dimensions is 164.4mm by 75mm by 8.95mm. So it is relatively thin and it weighs around 195 grams. The battery, like I said earlier, is a 5,000 mAh battery. It also has a decent 3GB of RAM and a 32GB internal storage. For the triple camera setup, like I said, it has a 12-megapixel main, 2-megapixel portrait, and another 2-megapixel for the macro. It can shoot 720p and 1080p videos at 30 FPS. And in terms of horsepower, it is powered by MediaTek Helio G70. It supports dual SIM cards and has a micro SD expansion slot, which is nice. In terms of sensor, it has GPS, light sensor, proximity sensor, accelerometer, and of course the fingerprint sensor at the back. Now when it comes to the user interface with the Realme UI, for the most part it is clean. However, you have some pre-installed apps right here like Opera, Lazada, Trip.com, Webnovel, and other apps that comes with this smartphone out of the box. But when it comes to performance, it is pretty snappy. I don't see any problem here. It is quite snappy, responsive, and the animations are also smooth. Granted, we don't have much apps installed in this, but out of the box, the performance is really good. But I'll provide you guys with my full experience once I finally populate this with apps as I use this as my daily driver. But for now, for my first impressions, the Realme UI is actually quite decent. The icons are okay. Nothing to write home about, but yeah, like I said, you have pre-installed apps right here, and you also have an app market, which I don't think is necessary because you already have the Play Store, but there's that. So on the full review, we'll dig in deeper with regards to the overall user interface, the apps, the icons, and all that. But yeah, first impressions, it's okay, decent, and I don't have any problems with this Realme UI interface. And now when it comes to the display, although it only has an HD Plus display, it's actually pretty decent. You just have to set your expectations right, especially for budget smartphones like this. And since this has an IPS display, viewing angles are decent as well, as you can see here. You can definitely recognize the colors and the image properly without much loss when it comes to the colors and brightness, even at an extreme angle like so. Unless you put it on an angle as extreme as this, which is not practical actually. So yeah, viewing angles are decent, colors are okay, contrast levels are fine. And of course, with the aspect ratio, you have black borders on the side, but you can always zoom that in. But of course, you will notice the camera on the side right here. Guys, check this out. The Realme C3 actually scored 181K in Antutu benchmark, which is very promising. So it should provide us with smooth gaming experience, but there's only one way to find out. So let me just install some games here so that we can take a look at some quick gameplay. So I'm already on track number 6 here on our Asphalt 9 gaming, and judging by the performance of the Realme C3, for the most part, it is actually smooth. I don't feel much stuttering at all, maybe some when we actually bump with other cars, but it doesn't take away with the overall experience. So yeah, I think the Realme C3 with the MediaTek Helio G70 is actually capable for gaming, at least for our quick test here on Asphalt 9. And now before we end this video, here are some sample photos for you guys. Now let's check out the quality of the speakers real quick here. So this is already maximum volume, so it doesn't get loud as much. So yeah, the speaker is usable, decent, but again, it doesn't get loud as much as I would prefer. But at least they retain the 3.5mm jack right here, so you can listen to your music using your favorite IEM headphones and whatnot. So yeah, my first impressions with regards to the speaker, it doesn't get loud as much, but audio quality seems to be pretty decent. Volume levels could have been better though. Alright, so to conclude, my first impressions about the Realme C3 is actually pretty good. I'm very impressed with the performance, especially with the Antutu benchmarks and our gaming experience with the Asphalt 9. And the design is actually good as well, especially the fingerprint resistant material here on the back and the sunrise design here on the camera unit. So it also has a decent weight to it. The bezels are thin, and overall in terms of design and construction, like I said, I really like this, and the performance of the MediaTek Helio G70 is actually pretty decent, at least for our initial tests here. So again, watch out for my full review as we take a look at more details about this phone, and I hope I was able to provide you guys with decent information as a first look on the Realme C3. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching. Like I said, this is just a quick review as part of our flash review series so that I can provide you guys with my first impressions about the new Realme C3. So watch out for my full review of this phone. We're going to do more benchmarks, more sample photos, overall gaming experience, sound quality, display quality, battery life, and of course, my experience with the Realme UI. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you to Realme for sending this in. You can get this from their partner stores once it is already available. I don't know the price yet, but I'll announce that soon once I have an information. So for now, thank you for watching the quick review. Subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day, guys.